Good morning, children. In my last video, I taught you 5 figures of speech: simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe, and metonymy. Now, in this video, we will do the rest 5 figures of speech. Our next figures of speech is synecdoche, which is often confused with metonymy. Now, let us first understand what is synecdoche. Synecdoche is a figures of speech in which a part is made to represent the whole, or vice versa. For example, we can use the term a set of wheels to refer to a car, of which the wheels are just a part. In saying that I bought myself a new set of wheels to travel to work every day. It is well understood that we are referring to a car. Now let's talk about the difference between a metonymy and synecdoche. Synecdoche refers to the whole of a thing by the name of any one of its part. So we saw that calling a car a set of wheels is a synecdoche, because a part of a car, wheel stands for the whole car. However, in metonymy, the word we use to describe another thing is closely linked to that particular thing as an adjunct, but is not necessarily a part of it. For example, we call that we had discussed the word crown. That refers to a power or authority, is a metonymy, used to replace the word king or queen. In metonymy, just like we can use a part to represent a whole, we can also use a whole to represent a part of it. For example, we can use a country name to represent any sports team of that country. Like if I say India won the ICC World Cup in 2011. It is understood that the Indian national cricket team won the World Cup. Similarly, we can use the terms hands or helping hands to refer to a person who helps or assists you in some work. So, my advice to homemaker is, if you feel tired doing the mundane chores every day, you can perhaps hire extra hands for help. Next, we will move on to the figures of speech based on sound. This type is one of the most interesting figures of speech and is commonly used in real life situations, such as advertisements as well as in literature. The first of these is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia refers to the formation of a words from the sound associated with what is named, like if I say the buzz of the bees and the hiss of the snakes. The words buzz and hiss actually imitate or copy the actual sound made by the bee or the snake, respectively. And there is a whole range of animal sound made that way. For instance, the woof of the dogs and the quack of the ducks, the moo of the cow, and a list does not stop there. Not only animals, there are many other real life instances of such sounds. For example, if I say the ball splashes into water, the word splash actually reverberates the sound of something hitting water, or the telephone rings. Ring or tring is the actual sound made by the telephone. Or even the bomb, when boom reflects the actual sound made by the bomb. And the horn goes beep beep, again the actual sound. Our next figures of speech based on sound effect is alliteration. Alliteration refers to the repetition of the consonant sounds, especially at the beginning of words. Alliteration is derived from the Latin word lettera. It means letters of alphabets. Example of alliteration abound in real life. When you are driving, you might come across the sign, "Don't drink and drive." No, the successive words starts with the sound da. That's alliteration. Moving on to some catchy tongue twisters. Who would not have tried the lines from tongue twisters such as Peter, Piper, or Betty Botter? So, if Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, that is alliteration. As a initial consonant sounds, p is repeated in successive words in the same sentences. And Betty Botter thinking, but a bit of better butter will make my batter better. It is very tough and challenging too. Speak it out, and yet it's quite a bit of fun. So, in this Betty Botter example, we noticed the consonant sounds b at the beginning of various words, and that's not it. There are so many brands and company names that are catchy and memorable because there is alliteration involved. The famous ones are Coca-Cola, Dunkin' Donuts, PayPal, KitKat, etc. And finally, we have the famous cartoon characters such as Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and SpongeBob SquarePants, which have alliteration in their names. The next figures of speech based on sound effect is assonance. Assonance takes place when two or more words close to one another repeat the same vowel sound. So they might start with the different consonant sounds. Consider these lines. The fat cat had a snack. Alas, it was a tough nut to crack. We see that vowel sound of A are close together in these lines, producing a very cool effect. These words are fat, cat, hat, snack, alas, and crack. Another example of assonance is to describe a high rise while it rises high into the bright blue sky. Here, the I sounding words describes high, rise, bright, and sky is stressed. There are plenty of examples in poetry. For instance, look at this passage of Carlyle Sandburg's Early Moon. Poetry is old, ancient, goes back far. It is among oldest of living things, so old it is that no man knows how and why. The first poem came, it is an example of assonance. And now, my personal favorite by Robert Frost, which has wonderful rhyme created through the repetition of double A sound. The woods are lovely, dark and sleep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And the last figure of speech that I am going to cover here is pun. There is no broad category as such to which pun belongs. A pun is a humorous way of using a word or phrase so that more than one meaning is suggested. Let's take an examples from the Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar. A cobbler, when asked what his trade, it replies that he is a mender of bad souls. Well, mender means to correct. Cobbler mends shoes and the soles of walnut shoes. Most of the time, pun can be used multiple meanings of the same. Is homonyms or different meaning of similar sounding words. Homophone. Another funny example of pun is a sentence as a successful pilot. His career has no pun. Intended, really taken off. Now, the phrase takes off literally means that an aircraft has become airborne. It has left the ground and has begun to fly. We can use a phrase figuratively to suggest that some things, such as an economy or someone's carriage, has picked up speed and is on a growth of trajectory. Pilots are mostly taking off and landing the aircrafts, and that's the pun in the phrase takes off. Let's take one more example. This time the pun is on the word it struck. I was struggling to figure out how lightning works. Then all of a sudden it struck me. This sentence has multiple meaning. One is that the lightning has struck. This guy is in which saves him, and second that he has figured it out, this whole thing about how lightning works. The ambiguity created here was because of the use of it, which could be refers to either lightning or to the idea. Children, now this chapter figures of speech is over. I had sent you the PDF file in which I have written the definitions with examples you all will write in your grammar copy and learn it. Okay. Till then, bye. Thank you.